say, scrap off the existing borders that do exist between their countries in a bid to foster more integration amongst African countries. But before Africa gets there, like you mentioned, there is a lot of work which, of course, your co-panelists have cited on numerous occasions. There is a lot of work to be done. And of course, gradually but surely, Africa is actually going to get to that point now. So while we head forward towards, say, building a better and more prosperous African continent, in your opinion, just as we are almost coming to the end of today's edition, what could possibly bring about normalcy to the West African sub-region, especially a country like Benin or other countries which we have cited might be plagued or continue to be plagued by numerous challenges which you've highlighted in the case of poverty, the case of insecurity, in the case of economic impasse or economic crisis, amongst others. How can the region move past all these challenges to get back to normalcy or get to a better place from where it is?
Okay, there should be a short-term and a long-term approach. In the short term, there should be some kind of political reconciliation, some kind of a roundtable, a dialogue for a roundtable dialogue for political opponents to sit down. Because you don't actually, if you want peace, you don't talk with your friends, you talk with your enemies. You understand? So if the sub-region wants peace, you don't have to be talking to their friends. You have to talk to their enemies. So they sit around in the short term, despite their different political views or interests. They sit beside on the same table and talk about the interests of the nation and the ordinary person. That's a short-term move. But as far as the long-term move is concerned, it's economic development. Only economic development that goes down to the ordinary person. Economic development that the ordinary person will feel it. That's the long-term move that will liberate Africa. And again, the point about Africa coming together with a single currency, I think is paramount. It's needed, without which it's going to take a long time for Africa to stand again.
Absolutely. But then I would not leave you or let you go without asking you this last question. Now, since it's imperative for Africa to unite, which is clarion call, which we've re-echoed over time in our previous editions, and of course, it's the Pan-African wish that Africa comes to become this united front that can single-handedly, or better still, champion for the better good of the continent. In that regard, now, when you look at Africa, do you believe that a united front is going to go a long way in scrapping off some of these, say, discrepancies, like the issue of core terms, which we've seen in the course of, in recent times over the African continent?
Yes, I believe that strongly. I believe that strongly. And for us to achieve that, this organization, this is my opinion, this organization called African Union should be dissolved. And we start something different. Why am I saying that? Because the African Union is an organization that has been financed by foreigners, been financed by the European Union, by China, and the United States and some others. In the fact that an organization that should represent the interests of Africans is being sponsored by nations with colonial and imperialistic history, they are surely the one that dictates how the organization should move. You understand? So to my opinion, the African Union is a useless organization to Africa because of the fact that it's suffering from a lot of foreign influence. Just imagine that you have, of course, it's common knowledge that the headquarters in Addis Ababa was built by Chinese funds completely. You understand? The European Union is financing the African Union, an organization that us as Africans cannot even finance. I don't think it's working for the interests of Africans. So I think we should dissolve the African Union and come up with something different that will meet the needs of the ordinary African, because The African Union seems to be an organization where friends go and sit and discuss their own matters, and they don't care how it influences the life of the ordinary Africans. So a united Africa, a single currency, is not going to happen anytime soon. But if we persist and we prepare the parameters, it's going to happen. I believe in that vision.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nelson AFRISOH AMANDONG. And of course, just to add up that, of course, there has been this call for reforms within the African Union Commission. Meanwhile, ladies and gentlemen, that was our guest, educator, peace and development advocate, author of Rethinking Peace and Stability, a primacy for development and economic progress of over democracy. We would equally acknowledge the brilliant contribution of Dr. Stanley FONGOD, Pan-Africanist and economist, who took our time to join us on today's edition. Meanwhile, Mr. Nelson, I'll say thank you for joining us this day and, of course, for contributing to this edition of Talking Point.
Thank you very much. My pleasure. Always available.
Thank you so much. Meanwhile, ladies and gentlemen, we believe you learned a lot from today's exchange, which focused on the West African nation of Benin, while linking up to what's happening in the West African sub-region, asking the question if the attempted coup d'etat that took place in Benin was for the threat to regional stability. Indeed, we were able to answer that question and bring shed some more light on the topic at hand. Meanwhile, ladies and gentlemen, it's on that note that we shall be drawing down the curtains of today's edition of Talking Point over your Pan-African channel for you Media Africa. I've been NJIX and NABESEH of our presentation, and meanwhile I'll leave you in company of our numerous programs. Bye-bye.